Yeah. Yeah.
Alright guys, so I am pretty deep in prep at the moment, and I don't know, the mood just struck me to do a little filming today. I'm about to make my lunch and I just wanted to do a short video on like nutrient timing and how I'm setting up my day. So I'm pretty low at the moment. This Saturday I'm going to be 8 weeks out, and for the last 2 weeks I've been doing 2 hours of cardio 5 days a week. That's the most cardio I've ever done for kind of more extended period of time. And macros are at 210 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 45 grams of fat. Now I get one refeed day, which is still pretty low at the same amount of protein, so 210 protein, 210 grams of carbs, and 40 grams of fat. So all around pretty low on my refeed days. I'm going to obviously put the macros up on the screen, but I'm also going to put the changes in my weight that I've seen over the last 2 weeks. So Paul made those changes because the changes were a little bit slow in terms of the scale. Visually we were seeing improvements, and sometimes what you have to factor in is that that can be happening because of various compounds that you're introducing during the course of prep that will be different and sometimes higher than what you're doing towards the end of your off season, which is kind of a health phase for me. So that can hide or negate some of the progress that you would typically see on the scale, because you can be accruing new muscle tissue, or maybe just a little bit of muscle tissue that you lost, extra glycogen stores, etc. But visually things were a little bit slow as well, so we picked it up a notch. There've been a lot of changes over the last 2 weeks visually and on the scale. I'm going to put my weight readings just on the screen right now, and how I split, and this is kind of what leads me into the conversation surrounding nutrient timing, because as some of you may know, I train really early in the mornings at 5 a.m., which means that there are currently 2 and sometimes 3 meals of the day where I'm eating 0 carbohydrates. Now, why do I do that? So I'm trying to prioritize carbohydrate timing around my workout window. Obviously on prep, when calories are low, and right at this point in prep where calories are very low and output is also very high, we're trying to negate a drop in training performance as much as possible. The idea being, obviously, if we can keep training performance very high, and we're not dropping off in terms of strength, we're not dropping off too much in terms of volume. I think some of that is probably inevitable, but as long as we're keeping training performance within a certain range, there's less chance of muscle breakdown, and obviously we're going to be bringing a much better package to stage with more muscle. So what that means, with 150 grams of carbs per day and trying to put 40 to 50% of those carbohydrates around my workout, I'm getting in 70 to 80 grams of carbs in my first 2 meals, which doesn't leave me with a hell of a lot for the rest of the day. Now, where do I put the rest of my carbohydrates? So most of it actually goes in my last meal of the day. And I think for a lot of people that can be a bit counterintuitive, because why would you want to be eating carbohydrates before bed? That's when you're least active, you've trained in the morning. Well, the reason that we do that is because in a steep deficit like this right now, sleep can be compromised. Sleep is the primary tool for recovery. And if you are waking up 3 times during the night because you have hunger pangs, you are compromising your recovery. So I put, probably about 40 to 50 grams of carbs in my last meal, go to bed probably 2 hours later, and that way I find that sleep is, while not optimal, it's still at a reasonably decent level. Alright guys, so what we have here is my typical 0 carb meal. It's about 100 grams of green beans. So when the green beans make an appearance, that shit's getting pretty freaking serious. Okay, 50 grams of pineapple and 125 grams of extra lean ground beef. Basically what this equates to is 34 grams of protein, about 12 grams of carbs, and 8 grams of fat. And then I use my new favorite find, this Zero Prego sauce from Mr. Sauce. You know, everyone's going on about a lot of these calorie-free sauces. This is the best one. This is the best one that I found, and it's actually also super cheap. You can get it at Spar, and I just drizzle that on top. I'm gonna be honest, guys, not the most appetizing meal, but you know, I mean, about as good as it can get for a low-fat, low-carb meal. All right, so it's about time to get some more cardio done, and I didn't want to make this a long video, but I'm probably just trying to delay doing my last half an hour because yeah, once you've already done an hour and a half, even though half an hour isn't long, I guess in context of the day, it feels pretty long. So here's my little setup here, set up in the lounge so I can watch some TV while I'm doing it. But to be honest, it's such a weird angle. I generally don't do that. I just watch some YouTube videos on my phone, or I'm doing the J3 University at the moment, which is pretty great. Nutritionally, obviously a lot of the stuff you know, that I already have studied and I'm applying, but in terms of the content on PEDs, peak strategies, I find it quite useful. And then, yeah, just kind of planning for some upcoming shows that clients are doing. We obviously had my client Phil last weekend competing in his first men's physique show. He won the novice class there. And looked insane. And I think what's more important than that is that, like, and we have to mention this because it is a relevant factor, is that he competed naturally. And realistically in the NPC, most of the guys, not all of them, but most of the guys that he's going to be competing against are not going to be natural. So that's a huge feather in his cap. Strategy there is obviously to move ahead and continue competing probably next year again after he's put on some more size. But in a natural federation, so looking at like INBF or OCB or something like that. And I think based on what I see, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the potential that I see there is very much pro card potential for Mr. Phil. And then coming up to my show, which again is the IBFF show, Fire and Ice. We also have Nicole, we have a listener, we have Donovan, and we have both Chris's also competing at that show. So it's going to be kind of an interesting one for me to actually be a competitor and a coach on the same day. We'll see how that goes, but obviously clients come first. So, you know, if we have to pick and choose, I'm definitely going to be choosing the welfare of my clients over myself. All right, guys, so cardio done for the day, 2 hours wrapped up, as well as obviously it was quite a short training session this morning. It was just an arms session. I haven't trained them by themselves in a while, but I'm trying to bring them up a little bit. So just an arm session, so probably just about 45 minutes to an hour in the gym early this morning. And on to the next meal. So this is a weird one. I'm not gonna lie to you. People think that I'm crazy for eating this when they hear about it, but when they try it, they realize how delicious it is. And that's not just a prep thing. I even eat this off season sometimes. So, ingredients: 250 grams, so the entire tub of fat-free cottage cheese. Why? Obviously this is, you know, per 125 grams you're getting 13 grams of protein, so 26 or almost 27 in this tub. We've got obviously a little bit of Ace's whey protein, probably to get around about 40-45 grams of protein in the whole serving. And then we've got my favorite new find, and thank you Bianca Van Veek for showing me this, but PSN Lifestyle has got these flavored nut butters. This one is like top deck flavor, I think, and then I've also got a blueberry muffin flavor, and there's like a cinnamon donut flavor. This is the almond butter. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so good, so I love that. And then some frozen blueberries. So what I'm going to do is mix this all together. Then I put it in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes, depending on how hungry I am and how quickly I want to eat it. And it turns into really kind of like ice cream. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to show it to you when it's done. All right, guys, so there it is. Super quick and easy, which is another benefit So this isn't zero carb, but it is low carb. So the whole meal equates to 51 grams of protein, 17 grams of carbs, obviously blueberries, and the cottage cheese will have some carbohydrates in there, and 8 grams of fat, which is from 12 grams of almond butter. Obviously super convenient. So it took me like, less than 5 minutes to make this, and then a couple of minutes in the freezer. But yeah, really cool prep pack. It's, you generally crave, or most people are going to be craving some sweet stuff. So it's nice to get in something like this that's low calorie, sweet, very satisfying, and actually very filling as well, because the casein protein in the cottage cheese is slow digesting. So it keeps you full until my next meal, which is going to be in about 3 to 4 hours from now. All right, guys, so short one today. I hope you like what I had to say about the carbohydrate timing and kind of how I structured the day, and kind of putting a little bit more thinking behind that, other than just, don't eat carbs later in the day. Think about when you're training. Think about when you're hungriest. Think about things like prioritizing sleep, and think about things like prioritizing workout performance.
Yeah.